Welcome back. Medical Japa syndrome refers to the widespread migration of Nigerian medical professionals, including doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers, to developed countries such as the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Australia in search for better working conditions, higher pay, and improved quality of life. Japa syndrome has resulted in a significant shortage of skilled professionals, compromising the quality of patient care. According to the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) and the General Medical Council (GMC) UK between 2021 and 2024, 8,560 Nigerian doctors registered with the GMC UK, representing 39% of all international registration. Additionally, 2,454 Nigerian doctors migrated to the United States, Canada, and Australia during this period. How then could this trend be controlled to sustain stability in Nigerian health sector? And to answer this question, our guest, Dr. Betta, who is a medical practitioner, is going to join us via Zoom to have the conversation on Japa syndrome in medical profession by Nigerian doctors. Good evening, Dr. Betta.
Hello, good evening. How are you doing?
Oh, very well. Glad to have you to join us on set
Yep.
today. The Japa syndrome in the medical profession. We have Nigerian doctors fleeing the country. It seems like people go into this profession just so they could have the certification and travel out of the country because obviously it's an important one, and wherever you go to it seems like you have a job waiting for you already. What would you say about this?
Apparently, what I'm going to say about this is that no one has the intention. Firstly, I need to correct something you said at the initial beginning. No one had the intention of going to school, attaining the certifications, and then just leaving the country ASAP like that. Apparently, what happened is that the working condition presently in Nigeria for health practitioners, whether doctors, whether nurses, is not conducive for us anymore. So I mean, everyone is looking for a better life, right? So at the end of the day, when opportunity comes for you to leave the country and face a better life, they end up leaving. So not like anyone has the mindset, let me get this certification and then the next thing they're out of the country. No one has that mindset.
Okay, Dr. Betta, just to make things clear, I have seen situation of people that have finished school and the working condition here is not so favorable, and then they now opt for, okay, let's go for nursing, go to nursing school, get the certification, and so you can make travel easy. We've seen situations like that play out, or don't you agree?
Yeah, actually, situations like that play out. But before those situations get to play out, apparently individuals have been able to weigh their options. They've been able to see that after study, after graduation, getting a job in Nigeria is quite very impossible. Let's use the word very impossible. So it gives them the motivation or the drive that okay, let me go into this, get this certification, and see if I can get a job abroad and make my life better and earn a better living. Because at the end of the day, you're working here in Nigeria, you're not even being paid well, you're overused and underpaid. So at the end of the day, most of these individuals tend to say, okay, fine, let me leave this country and see if I could actually make a better living for myself. So I think that's apparently one of the reasons why people get to leave. And then with the standard of the economy, you're working 24 hours call for doctors. Maybe you're going to work like a 3 days or a 4 day straight call. And then after the end of the month, you're being given peanuts. Sometimes you even have to go on strike for those peanuts to be paid to you. So apparently, in such a situation, when you get to see a better opportunity outside the country, who wouldn't take it? Who wouldn't take it? Anyone would take that opportunity.
Okay, so would you say the Japa syndrome is purely on the economic situation, or there are other deeper systemic and maybe psychological reasons behind it?
Yeah, I would say it is not just about the economic standard alone. I'm also going to say that the systemic role has something to play in it. Because why I'm saying this is that we, the doctors, we actually know what we are facing. We actually know what we are going through in the system. Sometimes you're done with school, you're done with your housemanship, you're done with your national youth service, and you're trying to scout for a job. Then you manage to get something tangible for you to hook up to while you're trying to maybe see if you can get into residency and the rest of it. Now, at this point in time, you see that the system is corrupt. Sometimes for you to even be able to get that residency, it's like totally almost impossible. Totally almost impossible. You see someone even going as far as trying to make you to see if you can pay money for you to get into residency and the rest of it. It's stressful. The system is not helping. The system is corrupt. The system is politically corrupt. Okay, I have to use that word. So it's not favorable to both nurses, it's not favorable to doctors, to pharmacists, in as much as those in the health sector. In as much as those in the health sector, it's not favorable to us. So apart from the economic reason, systemic reason, and other reasons like trying to meet up, earning a better living, supporting family, and one thing I also got to notice in this system of practice is that when you're practicing, there's no value for your time. There's no value for your life. As a doctor, you can say, ah, I'm sick, I want a sick leave. For that sick leave to be granted to you, that's a different story altogether. You have to start begging for sick leave. But when you're over there, when you're abroad, when you're sick, you don't even need to even ask for the sick leave. They will be the one to grant it to you. They'll tell you, go home, take care of yourself, and resume work when you're better. So they value your health in as much as you're also trying to save lives. But in Nigeria here, we are not valued, we are underpaid, we are overused. So I mean, in a system where someone gets to see a better opportunity, you won't say that person will not be able to accept it, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's look at the working condition um over here in Nigeria, the training and even the career advancement opportunities abroad and in Nigeria. Let's, compare this together. Let's compare it. The which is always most favorable in working abroad, because we keep hearing that even working abroad is not easy, the bills that you have to pay, the cost of living, and so on. But so keeping it side by side with what we have here in Nigeria, which is more favorable?
Yeah, of a truth, there is no place to to work that you won't hustle. There is no place to work that you're not going to go through a certain kind of hustle. Okay. Abroad is also not easy because you have some tax to pay, you have bills to cover, you have accommodations to cover, you still need to cover family bills and the rest of it. It's not easy. But at the end of the day, when you place it side by side, just like you have asked, you end up seeing that abroad is more better because number one, your time is valued. Number two, your health too is valued. Apparently, when you work abroad, nobody's saying it's easy working abroad because you have bills to pay, you have tax to pay, you have accommodation to sort, and the rest of it. You have family issues to still sort because the average Nigerian mentality is once you're abroad, you're making it big, you're hitting it big. So, but it still remains that working abroad gives you more exposure. That's one. Working abroad also broadens your scope of learning because over there you have improved technologies that will help you in patient treatment. You have a better study environment. because as medical practitioners, we have exams from one stage to another that we are taking in order to improve in our careers and the rest of it. So you have a better, improved environment to study. You have where your life matter. You have where your health also matter. And you have a place where as you're working, the hours you're putting in, the work you're putting in, you're being paid better to an extent. You're being appreciated to an extent. Unlike our home country here, where every now and then you hear there is a strike. There's strike to tomorrow, they are negotiating. Okay, doctors are back to work. And then the next thing you hear there's strike again. Doctors are nowhere to be found. Emergency coming into the hospital, no doctor to attend to it because all doctors are on strike. So put this side by side, you end up seeing that the standard over there is improved than the standard we have here.
With all this being said, Dr. Betta, with all that you've said so far, even with your last statement that people would come to the hospital and there's no doctor to treat them because of the unfavorable working conditions for the doctors, is this not a problem on our healthcare system as well? Because we have people dying every day, people are suffering every day. The healthcare system is in chaos. We barely have doctors to attend to the numerous amounts of patients in the hospital.
So apparently, I think at this point in time, I'm speaking for every health practitioner. Apparently, no health practitioner would want to lose a patient. No health practitioner is okay having to lose a patient. Sometimes when we lose patients, we beat ourselves up in our private time. We feel bad for it. But the thing is, why it happens like that most times is because sometimes there can be strike, especially in government hospitals. Now, when there is strike at the time, you find out that doctors are not coming to work because of the strike going on at the time, not because they just feel relaxed in their homes and they don't want to come to work. And sometimes this strike is as a result of them trying to fight for their rights, them trying to fight for good payments, them trying to fight for them to be understood, for their voices to be heard. Because whether we like it or not, yes, we are saving lives, but at the same time, we are also trying to make ends meet because we have a family at home to take care of. So when this is not being measured, when this is not being met, our voices are heard. We speak out. And then when we are not being heard, when no consideration is taken for us, strike happens. Now we go back to the private sectors. Why most times you don't get to see doctors is because doctors are very, very underpaid in the private sector. Private sector will want to expect from Monday to Sunday, having no rest, having no time for themselves, having no time for family, and yet they are paid peanuts. Mind you, doctors are also humans. What we have going through our veins is blood and not water. So we also have family, we also have kids, we also have our spouses to look after. So you don't expect us to sit in the hospital 24/7, Monday to Sunday, and we are not paid anything. And most times, these private sectors, they are being given orientations like doctors as they go. So that if one person is not on seat, another person is on seat. If another person is not on seat, another person is on seat. But because of they cannot keep up with the demand of paying the doctors employed, you don't also expect that one doctor you employed in your private hospital to sit down 24 hours in hospital Monday to Sunday doing nothing. No, our life is not buried in the hospital. Yes, we are happy saving lives. We are happy doing things that we feel that um this is saving somebody's life. Someone is not dying. We are doing it genuinely, it's our passion. But at the end of the day, our passion should also pay off some of our bills. if you understand what I'm saying. So I think this is also the challenges that we face in the health sector that I think nobody's ready to talk about. That is also leading to this Japa syndrome. Because when people see better life outside there, they will just take it and say, what is it? Let me just even go. Okay. So I think these are some of the challenges we are facing, apparently.
Okay, so let's look at the risk that this particular situation poses on the underserved, or rather the rural areas in Nigeria. What are some of the risks that this particular Japa syndrome has posed on the rural areas, the underserved areas, the underdeveloped areas?
Yeah. Now, of a truth, to everything, there is always an advantage, there is always a disadvantage. When doctors keep living like this, no doctor would want to come to the rural area because they feel that coming to those local hospitals cannot even meet up to paying them. Is it the local hospitals that will meet up to paying them? No. So for that reason, they end up not going to those localities to work. Now, in those kind of situations, in the middle of the night, there's a crisis or there's an emergency and the patient is brought to the hospital, you find out that there is no doctor on seat at the time to attend to that patient. The nurses would do the one they feel they can do. The nurses will do the one they feel they can do. So at the end of the day, there is no doctor to attend to patients. It affects the citizens. It affects the innocent individuals who are battling for their lives at that time because there's no doctor to attend to them. So yes, of a truth, there is a disadvantage. But at the end of the day, I will use this word. You don't expect someone there's sugar in his or her mouth to spit out the sugar. So at the end of the day, when people have seen a more organized system where things work. Because let's tell ourselves the truth, in Nigeria, things don't work. We do not have an organized system, both in healthcare, both in other sectors. We do not have organized systems. So at the end of the day, when people are opportune to meet organized sectors, places that value their time, places that pay good for their time, they'll end up going to those places, which will end up making those local places will not be able to have dissemination of doctors that will attend to them in time of need.
Okay, let's look at the ethics and global dynamics of this situation, Dr. Betta. Is it really ethical for developed countries, other developed countries, to keep recruiting doctors from Nigeria, knowing the disadvantage it poses on our healthcare system? Is it ethical?
Ethically, it can't be. Ethically, it can't be. But like I said in my previous talks, that doctors are leaving because they are trying to source for a better life. They are trying to source for where their voices can be heard. They are trying to source for where their pay equates the job, the passion they put into this particular sector. So I think that's just what I have to say about that.
Okay, so what other things, policies and solutions? Let's look at policies and solutions. What can the government do to help with this particular situation? What can be done so far? I mean, we've had situation where doctors go on strike. They say they are having a conversation to come back into duty, and it keeps going back and forth. What exactly can be done in order to stabilize the whole situation?
Okay, firstly, I'm going to say the government should help to keep their end of the bargain because sometimes they will say, okay, we want to have a talk, we want to have this. After the whole talk, they still go back to being what they were before the strike happened. Now, at that point in time, the doctors do not have a choice. They want to go for strike again. So I think, in my opinion, I'm going to say, firstly, the government should keep their end of the bargain. Secondly, the system should be swept off corruption. the system should be swept off corruption. And doctors matters as well. Nurses matters as well. Every healthcare practitioner matters as well. Our time should also be considered. Our payment should also be considered. Our health should also be considered. That when a doctor is trying to ask for a sick leave, it should be understood. It should be granted. And not making that doctor work extra hours, even when they are saying they are not fit to do so. So I think if all these things are being put in check, to an extent, the Japa syndrome is going to actually reduce. They should try to make the working atmosphere conducive for both the employees and the employers. I think if the atmosphere is conducive, generally, if the atmosphere is conducive, Japa syndrome will reduce.
Okay then. So let's look at salary reviews. How is this being done? How often is it done? Is it done as often as possible? Because we know that money plays a major role in this, just as you mentioned, not just the working condition, but how much are you being paid? They still owe doctors as well, and this is what drives them to going into protest, or rather they actually go on strike. So the salary reviews, how often is it being reviewed, and what is being done in order to help support and encourage doctors as well?
The salary reviews is not as frequent as it should be, and there is no how do I put the word for it to be quite understood? There is no system trying to help the doctors to grow more in their careers. We don't have improved technologies that could help us work better. We don't have improved technologies that will help us work better. Salary review doesn't come as it's supposed to come. You see a doctor being paid peanuts, not being measured to the effort, to the passion they put into the work, to the risks they put into the work. Because yes, it's also a risky job. So putting all these things together, it feels like we are the losing end. We gain nothing at the end of the day. So we end up feeling bad. It breeds the thoughts of, let me leave this country and look for a better thing to do with my life. It breeds that thought. And then when the opportunity comes, swiftly, the individual will take it.
Okay, Dr. Bertha, thank you so much for your input on this conversation. I understand that you have somewhere to be at this time. So we are going to end this conversation here, and we will pick up from here another day. Thanks so much for your input.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for the time.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.